Rudolph Brau. Rudolph Brau, who was born in Czechoslovakia in 1924, provided the first eyewitness account of Auschwitz and revealed the truth about the camp. In 1942, he was arrested and deported to Majdanek concentration camp and later to Auschwitz. When it was discovered that he could speak German, Brau was sent to work in a storeroom, where he sorted the possessions of the people murdered by the Nazis. He later managed to become the camp registrar and saw firsthand the horrors of the gas chambers. In 1944, Brau and another prisoner, Alfred Wetzler, hid under a pile of logs at a construction site. From time to time, they heard search dogs sniffing around the pile. After 3 days, the men made their escape from the camp at night and crossed into Slovakia. At Zelina, Slovakia, they met with Jewish leaders and drew up a report on the truth about Auschwitz. The report was then sent to the United States and British governments, the Vatican, the Red Cross, and Hungarian Jewish leaders. In the report, Brau warned that the Hungarian Jews were scheduled to be transported to Auschwitz. Tragically, the Hungarian Jewish leaders failed to issue a warning to their community, and hundreds of thousands of Hungarian Jews were killed by the Nazis. Georg Bielecki. Georg Bielecki was a Polish Catholic man who escaped from Auschwitz in 1944, saving the life of a young Jewish lady in the process. He had arrived at Auschwitz in 1940 and was one of the first inmates at the camp. Bielecki was sent to work in the grain warehouse. In 1943, he met a young lady named Syla Sabulska, another inmate who worked in the warehouse repairing burlap sacks. They began to communicate with each other secretly and ultimately fell in love. Knowing that Syla's life was in danger, Bielecki began to devise a plan for them to escape. He acquired an SS uniform, a forged pass, and a document stating that he was a guard bringing Syla to work on a farm. The ruse worked, and he and Syla were able to exit through the main gate. For 10 whole days, they made their way through fields and eventually went into hiding at the house of Bielecki's uncle. Near the end of the war, they decided to go their separate ways to avoid recapture, but they vowed that they would find each other after the war ended. Syla was told incorrectly that Bielecki had been killed. He was told that Syla had fled to Sweden and died. Both of these reports were wrong, however. The pair reunited in June of 1983, though they did not rekindle their romance. In 1985, Bielecki was given a Righteous Among the Nations award from Yad Vashem for aiding Syla, a young Jewish lady. Witold Bielecki. Witold Bielecki has a distinction of almost certainly of being the only person to volunteer for Auschwitz and then escape from it. He was a 39-year-old Polish war veteran who fought against the Nazis and joined the Polish resistance. After hearing horrific accounts about Auschwitz, the resistance decided that they needed to send someone to the camp to gather information. Bielecki volunteered. Using an alias, he allowed himself to be arrested in 1940. Bielecki remained in Auschwitz for 3 years. He gathered information and secretly composed 3 reports about life in the camp, including his transition from a prison to an extermination camp. He also managed to arrange a resistance network of more than 500 inmates inside Auschwitz, which he called the Union of Military Organization. In April of 1943, Bielecki decided to plan an escape in the hopes of persuading the Polish resistance to launch an attack on the camp. On April the 26th, he and 2 other inmates were working in the bakery, which was just outside the camp. When the SS guard wasn't paying attention, they managed to get outside and run away. Bielecki made it back to Warsaw, but failed to convince the resistance to attack Auschwitz. He participated in the Warsaw Uprising, after which he was arrested by the Nazis and taken to a prisoner of war camp. Bielecki was liberated by the United States Army in April of 1945. Soon after, he joined the 2nd Polish Corps in Italy as an intelligence officer. In 1947, he was arrested by Polish communist authorities, interrogated and tortured. He was later given a show trial and executed by the communist regime. Georg Ginsburg. Georg Ginsburg was born into a Jewish family from Berlin. After the Nazis came to power, he joined the German resistance movement. He was arrested in 1942 for his anti-Nazi activities and spent 3 months in jail. Ginsburg was then sent to the main camp at Auschwitz, where almost no one survived. Many years later, Ginsburg said that he was one of the lucky ones. Since he had been a motor mechanic, he was assigned to work at one of the factories off-site. In 1945, as the Russian army closed in, the SS panicked and forced 58,000 of the Auschwitz inmates, including Ginsburg, on a 2-day march through the snow to waiting trains. On this march, Ginsburg saw that the Nazis were badly disorganized, and he searched for an opportunity to escape. He picked up old cigarette butts left by the guards and rubbed them over his body to mask his scent in case dogs were sent after him. He shoved the stick under his blanket so that it resembled a hidden rifle and pretended to be a German official. Then Ginsburg approached a German guard and asked for a cigarette. When the guard went to ask a fellow soldier for one, Ginsburg hurried away and rolled down a snowy hill. He wandered along through a forest. When he found the body of a dead Russian soldier, he took the uniform and put it on. After 2 days, he was found by Soviet soldiers, who took him in and fed him. Eventually, Ginsburg returned to Berlin and found his mom, who had survived the war in hiding. He worked as an interpreter for the United States Army, served on the Israeli police force, and ultimately immigrated to Australia to start a new life. So that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like. Until the next video, goodbye.